The news from Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
The news comes to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories. With the news at this time, I am Tiana Jordan. A very good morning to you. To begin the news, here's a look at the leads. Guyanese authorities say that a ship held in Senegal with $5 million worth of ammunition was not registered in Guyana and is not coming here. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has cancelled his visit to Guyana because his mother died. The town clerk tells the mayor that he is wrong on the 2021 subvention to the city. And in regional news, Barbados's Mia Mottley was sworn in for a second straight term after Wednesday's clean sweep of all 30 seats. The spread of the Omicron variant in St. Martin appears to be slowing down. And for the international news, we'll bring to you the latest bulletin from the BBC World Service. The details of these and other stories will be coming up right here in just a moment.
Don't let the fear of contracting the coronavirus disease deter you from seeking the medical care you need. At Eureka Labs, we ensure the safety of our clients and staff with our rigid sanitization routine. This involves the use of ultraviolet lights to effectively rid the air and all surfaces of viruses and bacteria that may be present throughout the lab daily. The light works to rapidly inactivate microorganisms through a physical process that is invisible to human eye. So the next time you need a checkup, don't hesitate to give us a call on 225-7574 to schedule your appointment.
A cargo ship carrying 3 shipping containers laden with $5 million worth of ammunition is not registered in Guyana and is not due here. That's according to the Maritime Administration, MARAD. MARAD also says that the MV Eureka is not listed in Guyana's local ships registry, and it is believed that registration documents were issued by International Maritime Safety Agency of Guyana, IMSAG. According to MARAD, it severed all ties with IMSAG since August last year. MARAD made known its position after a number of vessel tracking systems showed that the MV Eureka was due to arrive in Guyana from Dakar, Senegal on January 28 after passing through the Caribbean. MARAD said it has since notified all regional and international bodies and organizations of the effective termination of all arrangements with IMSAG. According to MARAD, since then, several vessels have been detained in various ports for false registration documents. The maritime regulator assures that it will continue to actively monitor this incident and will spare no effort in protecting the image of the Guyana flag. Guyanese police say that they have launched a probe into the seizure of the ammunition aboard the purportedly Guyana-flagged vessel in Dakar, Senegal. Police say they are working with regional and international law enforcement agencies and has alerted the Interpol General Secretariat. Guyanese police say they want Interpol to assist with the questioning of one Sunil Kumar, Chief Executive Officer of International Maritime Safety Agency of Guyana, that is involved in the registration of motor vessels. MARAD cut all ties with that entity last year. Town Clerk Candace Nelson on Thursday chided City Mayor Ubraj Narain for stating that the central government did not provide a subvention for last year. In a letter to the mayor, she also provided details on how the allocated $30 million Guyana dollars was spent. In the wake of Mayor Narain's claim that President Irfan Ali has ignored his request for the subvention, Ms. Nelson dispatched a letter to him stating that the subvention was provided for agreed works contrary to public pronouncements. The town clerk says that, as agreed by both parties, the subvention was used for the construction of the administration building and payments were made to Dave's construction and supplying establishment. The money was disbursed by check on April 30th, days after the then town clerk had submitted additional information for the work program for the subvention. The current town clerk also told the mayor that more than $16.4 million was paid to the company on November 15, 2021, and $13.5 million Guyana dollars on December 21, 2021. The mayor had told the Minister of Local Government on December 2, 2021, that no allocation of subvention was given to the City Council for 2020 and 2021. But at the same time, Mr. Narain described the 30 million Guyana dollars as a grant towards the administration building. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has cancelled his visit to Guyana. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Elizabeth Harper, confirmed that he will not be coming to Guyana today because his mother has died. President Irfan Ali's office says that he extends heartfelt sympathy to his colleague on his sad loss. Brazilian media reports that his mother, Olinda Bonturi Bolsonaro, died early Friday in the city of Sao Paulo after being hospitalized last Monday. She was 94. He announced on Twitter that she passed away and may God welcome her in his infinite goodness. The Brazilian president says at that moment he was preparing to return to Brazil from Suriname. President Bolsonaro was in Suriname on Thursday, where he met with President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi. He was to travel to Guyana on Friday. President Irfan Ali on Thursday welcomed the re-election of Barbados's Prime Minister Mia Mottley. She swept back to power in a snap election that saw her Barbados Labour Party clinching all 30 seats. President Ali, in a congratulatory note, told Prime Minister Mottley that her re-election provides them the opportunity to concretize plans and programs that they have discussed. The two leaders have discussed the training of about 6,000 Guyanese for the hospitality sector, as well as several initiatives to improve trade and other types of business. The United States is assisting Guyana's Civil Defense Commission to strengthen its maritime oil spill prevention, planning and response capabilities. The American Embassy says the assistance is being provided by the United States Coast Guard with support from the United States Department of State's Energy and Mineral Governance Program. According to the embassy, the 6-month series of joint activities are also designed to assist Guyana in the development of a reliable national response system. The embassy explains that a virtual risk assessment workshop is scheduled for this month to build upon the progress Guyana has already made with the development of their National Oil Spill Contingency Plan and oil spill response capabilities. The U.S. Coast Guard facilitators will guide the participants through an assessment of possible oil spill scenarios in Guyana to identify the most likely and most consequential scenarios. The results will be used to identify possible improvements and update Guyana's National Oil Spill Contingency Plan. Other activities in 2022 will include virtual exercise program management training and in-person exchanges to observe oil spill response exercises. The U.S. Embassy says this partnership is part of the continued U.S. support for energy governance and commitment to regional security to help Guyana build its disaster response capabilities. And now in regional news. The leader of the Barbados Labour Party, BLP, Mia Mottley, was yesterday afternoon sworn in for a second straight term as the Prime Minister of her country. The BLP made a clean sweep of all 30 seats at Wednesday's snap elections. Ms. Mottley took the oaths of office before President Sandra Mason.
I, Mia Mottley, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law. So help me God. I, Mia Mottley, do swear that I will be faithful and loyal to Barbados, and I will uphold the Constitution and the law. And I further swear that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as Prime Minister. So help me God.
Reacting to concerns about Barbados possibly becoming a one-party state, the Barbadian Prime Minister told a BLP victory rally early yesterday morning that her country's constitution provides for a party to win all the parliamentary seats.
It would be remiss of me not to address this one issue, because we went into this election with people accusing us of wanting to have a one-state, one-party state, when in truth and in fact, our Constitution admits in a multi-party democracy of the people given all of the seats to one entity. I am a child of democracy.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley. Still in Barbados and in related news, the president of the Democratic Labour Party, Verla de Peza, says lower voter turnout contributed to the crushing defeat at the hands of the Barbados Labour Party. Ms. de Peza conceded defeat but said that something must be done to increase the number of voters.
It was a reckless time to call an election. The depressed voter turnout continues to be worrisome, and we do have to look for ways to address that before we find ourselves in a position where we've lost our democracy without intending it.
The president of the Democratic Labour Party, Verla de Peza. She says that her party will discuss the future of its leadership and review its overall performance at the snap election that was held on Wednesday. The Election and Boundaries Commission blocked an estimated 5,000 persons from voting because they were COVID positive. Students across the Bahamas will return to school campuses for in-person learning on Monday. The Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training says it made the decision on the advice of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The Education Ministry says that there was a need for all to exercise extreme caution and adherence to the established health protocols. In addition, mask wearing and sanitization is mandatory, along with social distancing and temperature checks. There will also be the implementation of staggered breaks, outdoor eating, and quarantine and isolation where applicable. The announcement should prove welcomed news for some parents who had been advocating for weeks for schools to reopen in a face-to-face setting. They had planned to demonstrate later this month for schools to reopen. Some parents were yesterday questioning how Fusion Superplex was being allowed to launch a virtual supervision program at its facility on Gladstone Road, where schools were closed to in-person learning. Officials had planned to reopen public schools in the second week of January with a hybrid model involving face-to-face instruction. And now in St. Martin, the Regional Health Agency has reported 1,580 new COVID-19 cases in St. Martin in its January 10th to 16th health bulletin. The agency also reports that a further 271 new cases were reported as of January 17th in week 3 from 1,908 tests, taking the total number of new active cases to 1,851. The rate of infection appears to be slowing down, as in its January 3rd to 9th bulletin. The St. Martin Regional Health Agency had reported 2,561 new cases. The agency does not give the figure for recoveries. Total accumulated cases since the beginning of the pandemic is 9,414. The health agency added that one cluster is under investigation in St. Martin. As of January 19th, Louis Constant Fleming Hospital in St. Martin currently has 20 COVID patients. There have not been any evacuations or deaths in week 2. The death toll is still 60 in St. Martin. And now for the international news, here's the latest bulletin coming from the BBC World Service.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov are holding talks in Geneva to try to defuse the threat of war in Ukraine. Russia has massed tens of thousands of troops at the Ukrainian border, but President Putin denies he has plans to invade. Our diplomatic correspondent James Landale is outside the talks venue.
There's no hope of any great breakthrough today. The meeting is relatively short, only a few hours. Neither side have been flagging up massive new proposals or documents that they're bringing to the meeting. But that said, there are some positive notes. The fact that the meeting is taking place in itself is noteworthy. At the end of last week, after a series of meetings across Europe between Russia and the United States and diplomats from NATO and the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, people were saying diplomacy has reached a dead end. Well, that's not true. These two men, Antony Blinken and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, have agreed to meet because they think it's worthwhile carrying on.
The Ukrainian ambassador to London, Vadim Pristaiko, told the BBC that he was optimistic about the talks, but was not too worried about the recent build-up of Russian troops.
The number of forces is big, but not enough to immediately topple our military. So from this point of view, we're quite comfortable. That's not more than this. It will be bloodbath, but it's not enough. We've been in this for 7 years. For many people in Europe, it's just around the world. It's just recent build-up, a big deal. For us, not. We've been through it. 13,000 people already dead.
The New Zealand Navy has started distributing humanitarian aid to the people of Tonga following last weekend's volcanic eruption and tsunami. The aid distribution began with the arrival of the first 2 ships there since the disaster. Here's Phil Mercer.
6 days after this undersea volcanic eruption unleashed tsunami waves on the archipelago of Tonga, that international aid is now starting to arrive. There are also ships from Japan on their way too, along with Australia. So the international aid effort is gearing up. The big issue facing the authorities in Tonga is to ensure that the relief operation is COVID-19 safe. Tonga has recorded just a single case of coronavirus during the entire pandemic.
Rescue teams in Ghana are searching for survivors following a huge explosion that killed at least 17 people and wounded dozens more. It was triggered by a collision between a motorbike and a truck moving explosives to a gold mine near the town of Bogosu. The explosion carved out a crater at the side of the road and destroyed hundreds of buildings. President Nana Akufo-Addo called the blast a tragic accident. World News from the BBC. The UN says initial estimates of the effects of Typhoon Rai that hit the Philippines last month badly underestimated the damage it caused. The UN's coordinator in the country, Gustavo Gonzalez, said only now was the full picture emerging. 1.5 million homes were damaged in the storm, the world's second deadliest disaster last year. There's a nationwide internet blackout in Yemen after the Saudi-led coalition attacked Hodeidah port overnight. The coalition, battling the Iranian-backed Houthis, said they'd targeted a hub for piracy and organised crime. The Houthis, who now run the Tele-Yemen monopoly that controls internet access, say several people have been killed. Scientists say a banana-like crop grown and eaten only in Ethiopia could be a new superfood, helping to boost food security in a warming world. British researchers working with experts in Ethiopia have found that the NSET, or false banana plant, has the potential to feed millions of people in Africa alone. The US singer Meat Loaf has died. He was 74. Born Marvin Lee Day, Meat Loaf was noted for his powerful voice and theatrical stage presence. His 1993 hit, I'd Do Anything for Love, earned him a Grammy Award. He sold an estimated 100 million albums, with Bat Out of Hell being one of the most successful in history. Here's Colin Patterson.
He came from a very theatrical background. He'd starred in musicals like the Rocky Horror Picture Show when he teamed up with Jim Steinman for this album, Bat Out of Hell, released in 1977. And crucially, it didn't start selling well for a long time. It was only when Meat Loaf took to the road and performed and connected with audiences that album started to sell and sell and sell.
Colin Patterson. And that's the BBC News.
The news came to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories.
A COVID-19 PCR test is now mandatory for many routine activities, including travel and return to work purposes. At Eureka, our trained and experienced staff will ensure confidentiality while your test is conducted in a professional and timely manner, with results in just 48 hours. So the next time you require an efficient and hassle-free PCR COVID-19 test, call 624-8378, 608-8378, or 623-7233 to schedule your appointment. You can also ask about our house call testing service.
And now to end the news, here is a recap of the leads. Guyanese authorities say that a ship held in Senegal with $5 million worth of ammunition was not registered in Guyana and is not coming here. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has cancelled his visit to Guyana because his mother died. The town clerk tells the mayor that he is wrong on the 2021 subvention to the city. And in regional news, Barbados's Mia Mottley was sworn in for a second straight term after Wednesday's clean sweep of all 30 seats. The spread of the Omicron variant in St. Martin appears to be slowing down. And that's the end of the news.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio Newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.